Good evening, Monadnock region, and welcome to another very special bonus episode of Gomo Tonight, the Monadnock region's only locally focused weekly comedy podcast. I am your host here in the Space Lounge, Chris DiLoretto, here with my lovely co-host,
Zoe Roten-Heinzman.
And joining us today is our very special guest, just in time. We are a week and a day before, by the time this episode comes out, we are exactly 1 week before town meeting elections. And here with us is chairman of the Peterborough Select Board, Tyler Ward. Welcome, Tyler. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. Good evening.
So Tyler, can you describe for us the path that you took to becoming the chair of the Peterborough Select Board?
Oh, let me tell you what I had to do. Let's see. In a nutshell, to become chair, you kind of just have to wait your turn. When I first ran for select board, I had some experience with the town board. I was chairman of the Heritage Commission, but when I joined the select board, I think I was pretty quiet and just absorbed everything for, I feel like, 2 years.
Like a freshman congressman. That's kind of what you're supposed to do,
Yeah, you did. And I learned from, I started off with Barbara Miller and Liz Thomas, and I just gleaned what I could from them. And Barbara was chair for a while. And then as the board, I think I think maybe my second term after I was reelected once, they said, you want to take a shot at chair. So I did it 1 year. And then it was I kind of felt like it just passed, as people kind of moved up. I'd done a couple of years, so it was my turn to be chair. And usually the senior person on the board would be chair. And then, so I think I went back to Barbara for, another term or another year, and then she retired from the board. And then when she retired, it seems like I think I've been chair for the last 4 years. So
yeah,
and I appreciate that that Bill Taylor encouraged me to continue being the chairman. He did the same thing I did. I kind of listen, you kind of learn, you kind of realize what's happening with what's going on, and I think I've found some comfort in being the chair. It comes pretty easily, and I throw in a joke now and again. People seem to like it. So
they do. Yeah. Yes.
So they haven't kicked me off. Haven't kicked me out of the chair position. But I think if I do get reelected, I would be fine with Bill Taylor being chair. He's
sure.
And I think Bill Kennedy's doing the same thing. He's one term in. I think he's up for reelection next year for a second term if he does. So then when he's in his second term, he can, maybe he'd want to be chair too. So
take it away. Yeah.
Yeah. With,
what inspired you to make that jump from the Heritage Commission to running for
Actually, before you answer, do we still have a Heritage Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
Always. The Heritage Commission is strong and doing really well. Actually, they're
strong and bold.
If you know, up at Sheeling Forest, there's the McGreal, Elizabeth Yates McGreal house that was in real disrepair. So they've been working with the state of New Hampshire for several years to get that rehabbed and back into use for a caretaker's cottage. So yeah, they're active. They're working to save or repurpose buildings. I liaison to them. That's one of my duties on the select board, along with several. You saw in my bio, there's several other liaison duties, and part of the Heritage Commission has the Demolition Review Committee, which is made up of citizens and a couple members of the Heritage Commission. And they, people want to knock down a house to build something new. If it's over 50 years old and more than 450 square feet, they have to apply for a demolition permit. And
nice.
So then the Demo Review Committee gets it. And if it's for some reason it's an historic building, like maybe an early schoolhouse or something like, somebody famous in town grew up there, it may be worth trying to get that homeowner to, improve it or repurpose it, or, in the worst
Sell
case
it to someone
scenario,
who wants to, maybe,
or do something like that, or in the worst case scenario, at least salvage some parts of it that could be memorable or could be used, or so.
Yeah,
Anyway.
is that what happened to the house across from Alltown? Like, did they set that on fire to get around a Heritage Commission waiver for that house?
I will tell you that before, when I was on the Heritage Commission, and I think part of the reason they boosted me to chair was because I wrote an article or an op-ed piece for the Ledger about there were 4 houses over there, and I wrote this article about these houses and imagining like their history and every nick and every worn tread in the stairs, capturing like a record captures sound, like our houses capture our footsteps going up the stairs. And so I looked at those houses, like the histories that were in them and the people that had lived there and their size and their function at the time. That was workforce housing, that was classic workforce housing. And so I wrote this article about when older houses are torn down, or something it was called. It was quite a good piece, actually, if I don't mind saying. But
look that up.
But the 3 of them were owned by, at one point, the 3 on the one parcel of land were owned by one giant retail conglomerate, and the 4th one that's still standing is on property owned by Rite Aid. Oh. And these were they bought up that land way back when they thought they could develop it for, their stores or for retail or something. But yeah, so that's why the 3 ended up getting knocked down and sold off. That turned into the dentist's office, which is nice building and all that.
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
But the one that's burnt down just kind of is sitting there waiting. And this was
waiting for someone to come along and
it was almost 10 years ago. I wrote that article about and they weren't in that bad a shape. We were considering trying to get Habitat for Humanity to take them over and repurpose them in the houses, but nothing really worked out. So
yeah,
there's a lot of failure with trying to save old houses. You could try like heck, but
yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like, it's not like you guys have like millions of dollars you can throw at the problem, right? And it's private property, so it's like if there's no will among the owners to do something, there's only so much you can do to encourage them.
Right. Yeah, and we certainly don't want to stop anybody from doing what they want with their property.
Of course.
We just want to say, hey, we think this is neat. Maybe you might think it's neat too, and go at that angle. But
yeah, I mean, it would only raise the value of the property for them if they did something like that, So there is self-interest for them, But if they really want the district, some people like disrepair.
No, hey, I do. I love a good, peeling paint looking old door. Anyway, so to get back to Zoe's question about how did I end up here? So being on the Heritage Commission, I guess I dove in, and was just really into it. So I started attending planning board meetings. I started attending select board meetings, and I just started learning about how the town was run, and it fascinated me. And the people that were volunteering to make this town better. And so really I was just being nosy and going to meetings. And so, and I'd ask the questions now and again. So when Joe Bike was getting ready to retire from select board, he actually recruited me to run in his place. He thought maybe. Oh, and here's the other thing. They said, "Well, you're a young guy. We need young people." But that was 10 years ago, or whatever now. So.
Well, I mean, I will say, I tell people this story from time to time. You could lie about your age though, because I remember. So I met Tyler for the first time in 2017 at town meeting, when I was running my very first political campaign for library trustee. And we happened to stand next to each other outside of the townhouse, the seat of the realm, as you so eloquently once put it, where we did vote that year. And we were chatting all day. And I think it was the end of the day, you're like, yeah, I forget if it was this year or next year, I turned 50. And I seriously thought you were very close to my age. I thought you were 10 years younger than that until you said that, So you still can, man. I'm telling you, be the young person if you want, you know?
I appreciate that. I giggle every time that, you're watching a movie and it says for mature audiences. And Karen, at this point, Karen's like, she's sick of me saying, I don't know if I can watch this. I'm kind of immature, because I think, you act how you feel, right? So,
Sure.
so anyway, so that was amusing to me. And, incidentally, that day, I tell people about that day when you and I and a few other people were there, and the differences in our backgrounds, and then like extreme ends of spectrums, and
For sure.
just how lovely and engaging and neighborly our conversations were. It blew me away.
Yeah, it was nice.
It just gave me like a whole different sense of people at different ends of the spectrum. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, great day.
And that was, I think, you were already in office. I think that was maybe your first re-election that year.
It was, yes.
Yeah. From my perspective, I was just like, well, you knew everybody, and it was amazing to see. And I will say I've met a lot of people in the last 6 years or whatever. I think I had only been in town like 3 years, or not even 3 years at the time, and now we're going on 10, right? So I've met a lot of people in the intervening time, but I knew a lot fewer then. And I'm just like, everybody's coming up. Hey, hello, Tyler. Wish you well. Shaking your hand, and you knew everybody's name too. And for the record, if anybody's keeping score, I think he won that year. He did have an opponent, but it was like 900 to 100 or something like that. It was very lopsided that year. But I did give you some shit last time around though, because I think your opponent, I don't remember who it was, but they got like 300 or 400 votes that time. And I said, dude, at this rate, every election, they're gaining on you.
Wait a minute. I've had 3 terms so far, and last time I was unopposed because it was COVID.
Really?
So I don't know if
maybe it was just total votes. Maybe fewer people voted that year, and I was just giving you shit on that basis. And
yeah.
I was like, you had 900 votes last time, and now you're down to like 540.
You might have lost.
That might have been it.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. The reason, and I'm going to say this because it's funny. The reason I know so many people is because I go campaign at the recycling center.
Yeah.
You panned it. You gave me the business about that, I think, at one point. Oh, nobody goes to the recycling center. But
I don't think I said that.
Maybe you didn't say that.
No, I think I was acknowledging that everyone goes there and just making fun of it. But not saying that it's a bad idea, but just saying like, yeah, we got to go to the fucking dump. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. No, you're right. It's definitely the right move.
Well, but the thing is, like, I see people that I haven't seen in a month or so. It's like, hey, how you been doing? And then you meet new people, and then you happen to remember their name, and then you see them again, and now you know them, and it's like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. You also must meet a fair amount of people in the repair cafe too. Are you in there? Are you there? Actually, I haven't been to one, but like you promote it heavily.
I do. I haven't participated regularly in almost 2 years now, but it's been going for probably 5 or 6 years.
I was going to say that's not that long though. I know it's been going longer than that.
You founded it, is that right?
Well, so I'm on the board at Max Makerspace, right, and a member. And early on, when we were first starting, we were over in the plaza with Pearl and I think Radio Shack.
I remember that. Yeah.
Huh.
And we had, pardon me, we had people were at the time, people were asking me, well, what about repairing things, or what about saving things from the dump? And I don't know how I found out about it, but I stumbled upon an organization called Repair Cafe. It's an international organization, and they're already set up with these kind of get-together fixer events. And so I think for a small fee, we bought their license and their logo. And then being a makerspace, we had all the tools, we had people with knowledge. It seemed like a perfect fit. So I'm a co-founder. I'm not the founder for the Max Repair Cafe, because there were probably 3 or 4 of us that were serious about getting it going and volunteering, and then it kind of started, and then it's been one of Mac's kind of steadiest events. The second Saturday of every month, people come in, and we've probably saved 1,400 lamps from the Peterborough landfill.
Nice.
And people are so excited because their lamp. Everybody loves their lamps.
They liked it. Yeah, right. They liked it. No, I know that feeling. Yeah.
It's not easy to find a good lamp.
No, it's not. We've tried.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and it was challenging at first to try, because you have to kind of corral together volunteers, and people are doing this out of the kindness of their heart. So, it's a Saturday, so it's tough to get people, but we've managed to get a steady group of people that just love to fix stuff, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
That's cool. I got this. I was joking about. Now I have to go down there because I got this cool clock at the Melamine Cup in Jaffrey.
Show it. It's right
Oh
there.
yeah, that's right. I brought it down here because I couldn't. It's this clock right here. This beautiful number, right?
Yeah.
And I really like it. It's heavy. It's got a nice design and everything else, right? And I brought it home and I plugged it in on my dresser, and it's fine. It was fine at first, right? And then I could hear something like coming from it, right? And then I was like,
was it
laying
ticking?
in bed, like watching TV, right? And there's like a mini split right above the dresser, And I'm like, man, like that mini split's making some really weird noises. Like, I wonder what's wrong with it. And like, so like I get up and I go over there, and no, it's the clock, and it's not the alarm either, because I checked the alarm and the alarm works and it's a different sound, right? Something in this clock is shaking this entire wooden dresser. Like it's like, and I'm like, all right, this is a job for the repair cafe.
That's why it got sent off to be rehomed. Hey,
I tried a couple of, I banged it a couple times. That was the extent of I'm like jiggling things. I'm like, all right, I can't do anything else. You got to bring this in.
I know the guy that's going to know the model number of that thing and every part, and
nice.
He's there every week. Just this guy Jerry, he's like
That's awesome.
Encyclopedia brain. Anything, it doesn't matter if it's an electronic, if it's woodworking. He just knows so much.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, bring it down.
Yeah. And good for everybody else to know as well.
And if not, if they can't fix it, it's fun anyway. So,
yeah.
You can turn it into a time machine or something if you can't actually get it to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Is that now it's just like, so I have two setups over here, and like over on the other side is my work camera setup. So it's in the background of that, So now it's just it's a period piece. It's in the background,
Get it. You got to get it in. See, you got to have it in your zoom, in your shot,
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I mean. Like the other camera's over there, so it does. It can be in it if I so choose. And it's always set to like 1 minute before 5. Just to be hopeful.
Nice.
And so, what about like biographically? Like before, we've already given away your age, right? So I was shocked to learn you're actually from a different town, though, right?
Yeah, I'm not
originally?
from here. I'm from
You're
away.
from Peterborough?
They like to say no. I'm from away. Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought. Right, you're from somewhere else.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut, through my teens, and then went off to college in Boston.
Flatlander.
Definitely. New Yorker, practically.
Just kidding. They call me a Flatlander, and I grew up like 30 minutes south of here where there's hills. Lots of them,
Yeah. So Boston, and then I met Karen. We lived there for a while. Then we headed down to Silver Spring, Maryland, D.C. area. Bought a place in Baltimore. Lived there for a little bit. And then Karen landed a great job in New York, so we moved to Brooklyn, New York. And we were there for 1 year. We had a 1-year lease. And just so happened the September of our 1-year lease was the most horrifying of all Septembers. 9/11, 2000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Because you are that old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were living there in Brooklyn. I mean, like we were living there, and ashes were falling in our yard, and the smoke.
Yeah.
Like our kid developed a respiratory issue from the smoke. So our lease was up in December. Yeah, our lease was up in December, and we thought, well, we got to get out of here.
Maybe we'll just get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and not many people even remember, but shortly after 9/11, another plane went down right in Queens. And it was so sketchy. It was I can't remember.
That one was an accident though, right?
Yeah, it definitely ended up being an accident, but it was freaky enough for us to be like, let's go to the woods, you know? And so Karen's family lives in Hudson, New Hampshire, and we drew a 1 hour circle around Hudson on a map and just started looking at places, and we landed in New Ipswich, and we bought a rundown shack that had a sugar house and 2 barns and 10 acres. And we're like, yeah, we're going to live off the land. And yeah. And then, so like several years later, my mother-in-law, was telling us that the day they came over to visit and saw the house, she went home and she cried. She cried because this house was in such disrepair that her daughter was going to be living in this hovel, you know.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. We didn't know it for years, you know, until when we moved, you know, we moved to Peterborough. We spent all our time in Peterborough. Our kid went to school here. And so when it was time for, getting close to, I think she was in 7th grade. So we moved here, to get into Conval. And then, you know, since I wasn't working nights and weekends on my house anymore, I had some time, and that's when I joined the Heritage Commission. So
nice.
Yeah.
You didn't want to fully give up the old house thing. You just didn't want to live there anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And when
talk about other people's old houses.
Yeah. And so, and then we bought this place, which is an 1830s, you know,
Nice.
Brick townhouse. This place is phenomenal. And so, when I told my friend Pat, who's a bona fide cowboy, who used to come out and do maple syrup sugaring with us and stuff, he's like, "Oh, you're moving to the city?" Because we moved to Peterborough.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where did you pick up the y'all?
Y'all, you know, I
mean, Maryland's technically south of the Mason-Dixon, isn't it?
Maryland
maybe.
is south.
I'm just saying.
Much of my speak is taken from old movies like Caddyshack or Animal House or those things. I find myself saying lines out of things that I just heard in my youth. So I pick up things when from other people I speak with, you know. I don't know.
It's a useful word. I mean, I'm a Southerner and I can't eradicate it.
But I was telling Zoe the other day that, like, you're not from the South. I was like, he's not from here, but he's not from down south. Like, she's like, well, what about his y'all? I'm like, I don't know.
It's a perfectly useful word. It gets right to the point. It's you and all of you. Right.
I won't knock you too much for that.
Okay.
But so, you know, we were saying to Tyler before we came on, you know, we got to save our best questions for Wednesday, for tomorrow, for those of you watching this when it comes out on Tuesday, right? So, but we would be remiss if we didn't just give you a couple minutes to, like, just, what's your case though for staying on the board? Like, what do you know and what do you want to do? And, like, what's the story?
Well, you know, when time came, I knew my term was ending, and people kept asking me, "Are you going to run again? Are you going to run again?" And I wasn't quite sure. You know, 9 years. People like term limits. You know, you kind of get sick of faces after a while, right? But I kept hearing, "You really should stay on. You really should." And I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. There are very stressful moments. There are
and you've been
nights
on the select board for some very stressful times.
And every time I think, it couldn't get any worse than this. What could possibly happen next? We just went through a pandemic. Well, we've seen what's happened next, right?
Yeah.
So I just got to thinking it, and then I started looking back at, since I joined in 2014, and the list of things that's happened, and the projects that were these daunting projects, like the Main Street Bridge and the library and just concern for our water resources and that sort of thing. And so, and the progress we've made in these infrastructure projects to shore up our community for the next several generations. Like that bridge won't have to be done in our kids' lifetimes. So,
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully, short of a major flood or bombing or something, who knows? But and I thought, well, wow, this is pretty awesome to be involved in this kind of stuff. I have to keep doing this. It's plain and simple. I enjoy it. We have a good board. We've found a great town administration. Our department heads they're really top in their field. So it's a pleasure to work with them and learn from them. Here's the other thing. I'm doing this selfishly as well. I learn from so many people. The amount of people that volunteer on the boards and committees in town have had careers, and many of them have been tops in their field. And one example I use is my dear friend Dick Estes, who's since passed, but the world's foremost renowned expert on the wildebeest, known worldwide, lived in Peterborough here, gave many, many years to the Conservation Commission and the Heritage Commission, and this is a guy that's touched the world in animal conservation, and here I am, just a guy from Connecticut, a carpenter, and I'm learning from people like that. So it's humbling. It's incredible to work with these people, and then I've garnered their respect and their friendship, and I'm going to keep doing it if you'll have me.
If we'll have you, indeed,
at least for one more term.
Do you want to ask the traditional question?
Was that enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
We'll get more out of you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So, looking toward the future, what do you think about the potential for Peterborough to annex neighboring towns, if need be?
If if central control breaks down, things are a little bit different. We wouldn't just do it randomly, but if it needs to be that way.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's happened in some time in our nation's history.
Indeed.
But we did just collaborate on a well with the town of Jaffrey.
Yep.
So in essence, I don't want to say we're encroaching on their turf, but we are now connected.
We do have some of their water.
Yes. So, but I'm not for takeovers.
Yeah. Okay.
In general.
So
yeah.
just gentle cooperation for everyone's benefit.
Oh yeah, and collaboration. I mean, that was a brilliant move. It really was, especially with water.
I thought so too, actually.
Yeah.
For the record.
Yeah.
I like that move a lot.
Yes. So.
Yeah. All right. Last question, because we're out of time. But any fashion advice for young, aspiring public servants? For those of you who don't know, at town meetings, Tyler is the best dressed, except for maybe Phil Runyon up on stage. You come.
The first time I ever saw you, Tyler, was at Children of the Arts Day 2019, and I noticed your hat immediately, and that really stuck with me.
Yeah, you had a good hat that year.
Very good.
You had a real good hat that year. I hope you will this year as well. Everyone should get your hats ready, guys. It's in like 3 weeks.
I don't know. I have 20 of these hats.
Nice. Wow.
And
you had a brim on this one, though.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it was like an Easter hat almost.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Possibly.
Might have been that one.
That's my strawberry.
Might have been Northwestern.
Yeah. Yeah, good option though. Good option though. But yeah, so hats.
Hats, You're lucky if you have a wife that can pick your frames for your glasses, that sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, right on.
I don't think about it too much, but I prefer earth tones, and I go with that.
Mm.
But I will tell you, I just wore a shirt today for work. It's a good wool liner shirt. I've had it 30 years. It's got holes in the elbows, but boy, does it keep your core warm.
Nice.
So
can't beat a good shirt.
Know your colors, wool, hats. Get your wife to pick your frames.
right.
Good advice. And I'll give you one last point for style, not about you personally in your clothes, but I like it that as our select board chair, this is just a little detail that our viewers might not notice, but behind Tyler, we have Our Changing Town, the 2-volume history of Peterborough. And so I appreciate that you have that up there. Both volumes on the shelf. That's very appropriate. Every select board member should. We'll have to get on Bill Taylor about this. I bet he doesn't have these yet. I've been to his house. I didn't see him in there.
Yeah, that's my Peterborough history show.
Nice. Yep. That's cool. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining us, Tyler. For those of you out there, 6:30 tomorrow night, Wednesday, 5/3, Tres de Mayo at the Peterborough Town Library. We'll be co-hosting with the Peterborough Town Library the Peterborough Parlay 3, featuring as its ultimate showdown in the final segment, select board featuring Tyler and his challenger Andrew Osterman. And so you can join us in person in the 1833 room, but we will be streaming it live as well. So please be sure to catch that. We saved all of our best questions for that, and I'm sure Tyler saved all his best material too. But this has been a phenomenal conversation. Very, very nice time. Thank you for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure. And we'll see you Wednesday night.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Go Celtics. All right. See ya.
Yeah.